Tonight, confusion rocks the front of Ikeadonko's Ghana Freedom Party as two factions within the party sent contradictory letters to the EC over its participation in the 2024 election with barely 30 days to go.
We made the decision that we are not going to contest for this year 2024. Have decided with the net and the family, the Fragmira family, that after we finish, we set up the 1 week before we can make a decision for next contest.
I'm the General Secretary, and I can tell you that we have successfully filed our nomination form at 107 at EC.
We have details of the two separate letters from factions within the party as the dispute within the party presents major consequences for the arrangement of candidates for the crucial presidential race.
Went without our consent. The General Secretary went for the submission without our national organizer and NEC. He alone went to submit the document.
So what is next for the electoral process? We have exclusive details plus speak to the EC who are currently holding a crunch meeting to take a decision.
We made it.
And Top Story, as always, is brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies and holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. Now tonight, confusion has rocked the Ghana Freedom Party over its participation in the 2024 presidential election. It has been 1 week since its founder and flag bearer, Ikeadonko, died, with the EC giving the party 10 days to present a new candidate. Now, with few days for that deadline to expire, factions within the party have presented contradictory letters to the Electoral Commission as to the party's participation in the political process. Only yesterday, the party, through its General Secretary, informed the EC it intends to replace Madam Ikeadonko and has, in the last few hours, indeed presented the running mate, Philip Apiakubi, as its new candidate. But the organizer of the party has also written to the EC insisting that the party has withdrawn from the presidential race. So there's a lot of work to unpack for you in this raging controversy, which has significant consequences on the arrangement of all parties and candidates going into the election, which is only 32 days away. And my colleague James Aveji, who is with our political desk, joins me in studio with details of all of this here. Now, James, let's start with a letter to the EC signed by the General Secretary. What does it say?
Brett, so this is dated the 4th of November, just yesterday, signed by the General Secretary George Apawu, and this is in reference to the letter from the Electoral Commission some 7 days ago, giving the party 10 days to act in accordance with Article 44 of the Constitution, as well as the EC's own regulations, to nominate a candidate or tell the EC the next line of action for the party. Now, it says that, quote, I hereby write to inform the Commission that the party has duly nominated Mr. Philip Apiakubi to replace our late presidential candidate for the 2024 elections. His name is hereby submitted to the Electoral Commission in line with your request in the letter under reference. The nomination of our new presidential candidate will be filed by the party within the stipulated time frame in accordance with law, and signed by George Apawu. And we know that this afternoon the General Secretary, as well as the presidential candidate and some other members of the party, were at the Electoral Commission headquarters to file that nomination, as they have just indicated. 3 days to the expiration of that 10-day
so if you talk about flag bearer or presidential candidate, you are talking about the running mate to Ikeadonko, who is now allegedly been made to
be the flag bearer.
Okay. Now there's another letter signed by the organizer of the party. What does he also say?
This is signed by Richard Boche and dated today, the 5th of November. And it says that, quote, the National Executive Committee of the Ghana Freedom Party, in consultation with the family of our flag bearer, Madame Ikuadonko, has decided to withdraw from the impending December parliamentary and presidential elections. This decision, irrespective of how difficult it may be, has been reached to posthumously honor the commitment and sacrifices by our late founder and presidential candidate as the only person to send her candidature to the grave. We are hereby this letter formally informing the commission of our intention not to participate in the elections. Any inconveniences this decision may have caused the commission and its calendar for the December 7 election is deeply regretted. We will be ready to participate in any future elections organized by the Electoral Commission. Count on our usual cooperation, and signed by Richard Boche. And it is under the headline Notice of Withdrawal from the 2024 December 7 elections.
So as one side is at the AC headquarters filing nomination, another faction of the party says we are withdrawing. So what is what? But you have been speaking to the party officials who have signed these documents. First, what has the General Secretary been telling you?
Well, the General Secretary believes that this is a decision in favor of the party reached in consultation with every other person, and they have duly communicated that to the EC. We can listen to him.
Tell you that we have successfully filed our nomination form at 107 at EC. So you can check from the EC and verify it with our pieces, 4 pieces that GFP have: Tafo Pankrono, Isamamadu Ajiri, and other 2 constituencies. They were all there. All our 4 pieces were there. So in the picture that is circulating, you can see them.
What about your National Executive Committee members?
I'm the chief executive of the party. It is not true.
And this filing also has the blessings of the family of the late Madame Ikuadonko.
Does the EC deal with family, or that this deals with the party? The EC has wrote to the party that we have 10 days to replace our late founder and flag bearer.
Okay.
And the party has done exactly that. So if the EC wanted to deal with the family, fine.
So that is the General Secretary of the party. Now, there's the organizer who insists the party is not contesting, even after he being told that, in fact, the General Secretary and some people have filed. What did he tell you?
Well, Richard Boche believes that whatever filing happened today is null and void as far as the party is concerned, because the National Executive Council as well as the family of Madame Ikuadonko have not reached that decision. We can listen to him make the point.
We made a decision that we are not going to contest for this year 2024 because we lost our founder of the party, and we haven't even taken the decision for even the 1 week observation yet. So we have decided with the net and and the family, the Frontier family, that after we finish, we set up the 1 week before we can make a decision for next year. That is the proposal we have made for the next year contesting of the election of 2028. This year, we are not going to contest. We wasn't aware with the decision we took and the submission of the presidential nominee to the EC.
If you say you weren't aware, who wasn't aware?
Oh, the NET and the NET and I wasn't aware of the decision they made this morning.
The National Executive Committee wasn't aware of that communication signed by the General Secretary?
Yes, please.
I see. Is there a division in the party?
We haven't finalized our decision yet to contest for this year, but we make a provision that next year, after we finish the funeral, everything, we bury our flag bearer, we finish everything, later we will decide that next year we are going to contest 2028. Without our consent, the General Secretary went for the submission without our national organizer and the NEC. He alone went there to submit the document.
Is that the indication that whoever is contesting on the ticket of the GFP shouldn't be recognized?
Yes, it shouldn't be recognized.
So that was the national organizer of the GFP. Looks like the party is divided over whether they want to contest or not. Now, we are aware, as Aveji has told all of us, that the general secretary of the party has indeed presented the running mate to Donko as the new flag bearer of the party. The organizer says, no, that is not the case. We have written to the EC to withdraw. But really, what is the way forward? We'll be getting the two of them for us to understand what the National Executive Committee of the party makes of this. But let's bring in the other political parties and find out from them what they do make of this raging controversy within or amongst the GFP as a party. Mustafa Gbande is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, and he joins us on the telephone lines now. Mustafa, I'm grateful to you for joining. Now, what do you make of the happening in the GFP? The GFP, plays quite a crucial role in this election, looking at where they are. Whether or not they will contest also has a different consequences on the main election itself. As a Deputy General Secretary of the opposition, largest opposition party, what do you make of what's happening?
Good evening to your cherished listeners. I think that basically the USP is a political party represented and fully filed with the Electoral Commission before the unfortunate demise of its flag bearer. At that time, they had a running mate, in fact, for which is already within the transition. Assuming UFP becomes elected, the running mate becomes the vice president. And so one would say that on the passage of the leader of the party, the running mate becomes an automatic successor of the race. And so UFP General Secretary is the Chief Executive Officer of the party, who has a right to administer the party so-called. UFP in the election, for me, deepens also representation. We do know that the NPP have done so much to try to frustrate UFP's re-listing into the contest so that they can succeed in changing numbers. But what
Bande, hold on. I mean, what does the NPP stand to gain if they should influence the GFP not to file?
Because the NPP's whole objective was to get number 8. And that number 8 ran to the NDC. So they have never relented on that effort to ensure that we go into the election without the NDC carrying the number 8. But what they forgot is that no political party have really won an election in Ghana on the basis of numbers. The numbers are immaterial. Who doesn't know Akufo-Addo? Who doesn't know Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? Who doesn't know that he's a failure? Who does not know President John Dramani Mahama? And who does not know the elephant from the umbrella? And so it is MPP behind these kind of gimmicks. But you see, if a general secretary goes to file
Mustafa,
with the consent of the candidate who have consented, willing to file and contest that election, what is the business of a national organizer going to file and say, I have withdrawn? The national organizer doesn't have the locus and capacity to do that.
Mustafa, but these are your readings into what is happening. You are making an allegation against the MPP as though you have evidence to say that they are the ones behind what is happening.
Look, we are two political parties in this race. The MPP printed over $9 million of party t-shirts using Break the 8. They went for balloting and they lost that slot to the NDC. They have never been healed from that bruise. And so they are doing everything possible. But what God will do, the late or unfortunate demise of our mother occurred after we have printed 90% of our ballot papers for the general election. 90%. And so all of these gimmicks to try and say that, oh, one political party should withdraw so that we go and do, but they forgot that we will do reballoting. That is what the NPP unintelligently doesn't know. That if they go on the tangent they are going, we will do reballoting, and they may even go to number 3 or number last. If your whole being in government for 7 years, you have not become so popular to win an election, why do you fight over numbers? The NDC doesn't care over numbers. We know our flag bearer space is more visible. The NDC's umbrella is very visible and marketable. For us, we want multi-party democracy. In fact, every running mate should also be given an opportunity if there is no leader of the party. We cannot have a situation where if the leader is not there, the party is dead. That is not the case. And so the young man you just interviewed, you see the way he was fumbling. He doesn't have capacity. He doesn't have administrative capacity of the party. The general secretary of the party have filed to the electoral commission, and that is the law, with the consent of the running mate. What is the locus of an organizer going to electoral commission to say you have withdrawn? That is the handwork of the NPP. We have to say it as it is. Okay. Embarrassingly, the NPP will do everything possible to frustrate an election process. That will be easy. They forgot that if you do this, we are going to have to destroy 90% printed ballot papers. The cost, implication to the country. The NPP is not thinking about this one.
Okay, Mustafa, let me bring in the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, as you have been alleging that they are the ones behind this, to take his response as well. Haruna Mohammed is the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. Haruna, grateful for joining us. Why are you interested in, changing the positions of political parties on the ballot?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I say good evening to your cherished listeners and my good brother, Bandy. We are not the Electoral Commission of Ghana. We are not supervising the conduct of any elections in Ghana. We are stakeholders and competitors in this particular election. Our interest is to make sure that Dr. Bawumia becomes president. We don't have any interest as to who becomes number what. We are not going to peddle any influence over any political party with respect to any position. When my brother said so, I believe he did not adduce any evidence to support the fact that it is being perpetuated by MPP. I would advise my brother to desist from peddling such falsehood or allegations that is not substantial enough to be able to portray the kind of information he wants to put out. We know that we are going to beat John Mahama convincingly in this election, and we don't need him to place on any other position to be beaten. Even if he's placed on number 1, we will beat him. I want to also refer my brother back that there is no any provision in the CI 127 that says that when this thing happens, this is what is exactly going to happen, that we have to go for a balloting. We are not interested in whatever thing that happened. Our campaign has gotten momentum. We are focusing on the campaign. The flag bearer is on site. The running mate is on site. The general secretary, the national chairman is on site. We are doing everything possible within the campaign structure to make sure that we win the election. So we are not interested to get ourselves into this petty discussions and allegation throwing and what have you. Ghanaians need somebody with bold solutions, and that is why we stand for. So we are not very much interested in this particular conversation because they want to peddle whatever that they want to do. But we are very focused, and we know that the law is what we are all going to work through with.
But whether or not GFP has a candidate on the ballot paper, is it of interest to the party? And is it something that you're monitoring?
Whether or not they have a candidate is not something that we are much bothered on. And let me get this particular straight. We have not printed any T-shirt of number 8 over what number that he has mentioned. In fact, we don't even know at the time that we were even starting our break the 8 mantra how many political parties would contest in the elections. We were not even aware. We are not privy to that. We don't know who is going to pick. we are still behind the break the 8 mantra. The break the 8 mantra is different from the slot number 8. And we are telling the people of Ghana that we are going to make history to ensure that we will be the first political party to break the 3rd, that is breaking the 8. Because everybody, every individual or political party who presents a candidate has the opportunity to come for the first term and come for the second term. And the second term gives you the 8 years. So we are saying that we are going to cross that particular 8-year cycle. And that still stands because we are going to win the election in breaking the 8.
Haruna, do stay with me. Mustafa, but I mean, hearing that the General Secretary has gone to the Electoral Commission with the running mate to now file to contest, I mean, does it, meet your expectation that, in fact, you had said that you didn't want the position to change? What they've done, does it then, sort of put things in the right way that you wanted it?
Well, for us, every political party should be given fair representation, fair treatment, and a level playing field as far as the election is concerned. And so our joy was to go to the election with our mother, Ikuya Donko, alive. Unfortunately, if she has filed and the running mate have gone to file, I think it's in place. It meets our expectation, except that the NPP is denying, here and there. Mohammed is denying the NPP is not interested. They have not printed any T-shirt. That is a lie. That is a big fat lie.
Okay, do stay with me. Let me bring in George Affol, who is General Secretary of the JFP. George, grateful for joining. Did you consult your National Executive Committee prior to your filing today?
Good evening, Joy. The UC letter was addressed to General Secretary. So, I alone cannot take the decision. I have to consult. When our mother was alive, she told us who to consult when she is not there. So we have consulted them all, and they have accepted Mr. Philip to be our running mate.
So I wanted to find out from you the level of consultation with your National Executive Committee to arrive at the decision that your running mate should now be your flag bearer.
Our mother told us to consult the executive, which I'm the General Secretary, our 4 PCs, Isamamadu Ejiri, Tafu Pankrono, and 2 others. These are the main people that our mother said we should consult. And when you look at the picture that is going viral, all of them, the 4 PC for Ghana Freedom Party, they were at the EC.
No, okay. So you are saying
elected flag bearer.
You are saying your mother. What does your party constitution say?
For now, Ghana Freedom Party has filed their nomination. Let us stop there,
okay,
so that next we can discuss the party constitution.
That's fine, but I just want to find out from you, what does your party constitution say in terms of this, in terms of the consultation that should happen? Because you say that your mother said consult ABC. Then I'm asking, the party has a constitution. What does it say? Because you're the General Secretary.
Our mother, the late Ikuya Donko, is the founder and the flag bearer of the party. And she told us to consult this one, and this one. And we have done exactly that. So the constitution doesn't come in.
The constitution of your party doesn't come in?
He is the face of the party, and he has access to do A, B, C, D. So we have to go by our mother directive.
How were you elected? Were you appointed by her, or you were elected through the constitution?
I can't go further. What our mother asked us to do, we have done exactly that. So today, at exactly 1:07, we are at the EC and we file our nomination. And Mr. Philip Apiakubi is our new flag bearer. And a running mate is called Vida Ishon.
Okay, but do you intend going back to the National Executive Committee to consult them on how to move the party forward?
What I can tell you as a General Secretary, we have finished filing our nomination and it ends there. We are waiting for the EC response. That's all.
Okay. So what is your strategy? Your strategy, because now you have factions. What strategy do you want to employ to unite the party?
I don't think Liverpool will come out with their strategy when they are going to play Manchester United.
Okay. All right. Grateful to you. Let me wrap up this, conversation with Haruna Mohammed. Haruna, I'm told you have a last point you want to make.
Yes. I want to reiterate my point that Mustafa Bandit doesn't speak for us. And when we say that we have not planned or orchestrated any idea in terms of the numbering, I would want him to be very strict to his point and to ensure that most of the time we must be very truthful and very frank to the public. We get the opportunity to speak because we represent our political parties. We must not use the opportunity to peddle falsehood. We have not, and we don't have any hands. I can see him forcefully making the point and supporting and backing what the General Secretary of the Kojo party is talking about. I don't know whether they have orchestrated that or they are behind them. And that is why I'm using, I don't know. I'm using if clauses, and I'm very, very careful as to what I say. But what I want them to know is that these elections are going to be fought based on who has the best solutions to rule this country. And we must all make sure that we come together to be able to strengthen the democracy of this particular nation. Whether somebody is going out or somebody is coming in. For us, we leave that judgment to the election organizing body, that is the Electoral Commission, to decide.
Right. Okay.
And I think that at this time, we should be mourning together with the Kojo party, the family, rather than fighting as to who succeeds him when there are legal matters in terms of how the processes are going to be followed. We are very, very careful when it comes to human-centered matters. And I think that the passing of Kojo is something all of us must pray with the family and support the party to be able to get the funeral done. And then we get a successful elections.
I'm grateful to you. Haruna Mohammed is Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. You heard earlier Mustafa Gbande, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. And Afol is the General Secretary of the GFP. This has been Top Story, brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies and holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. Up next is Newsnight.
Kind of way, tell you so the more money promo now.
Everybody likes money, but what do we like more than money? More money! Join the Telecel More Money promo and win money, more money, and even more money. Simply opt in for free and reload your mobile and broadband and be the lucky winner of the 1 million Ghana cedis grand prize. Also win cash prizes of up to 3 million Ghana cedis in the daily and weekly draws. Opt in for free by dialing *500# or send WIN to 500, or you can opt in on the Telecel Play app. The more you reload, the higher chances of winning in the Telecel More Money promo. Keep loading, win, and be a millionaire.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Terms and conditions apply. This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana maga with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana kron kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Choboy! We have a new leader in town. Obiarentie. Amafo. Madam was Sibebre. When him say my baby, maybe more charcoal for whiter teeth. More charcoal. Not only that, maybe lemon. More lemon. Zinc for fresher breath. More zinc. And fluoride for stronger teeth.
Introducing the new President Charcoal pack with more power with a combination of charcoal and lemon for naturally whiter teeth. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Get ready.
Every objection against you is hereby dismissed.
For Impact 2024 with the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, Reverend Dr. Eastwood Anaba, Apostle Joshua Selman, Apostle E.C. Igeniba, Bishop Dr. Bernard Ojiri Asari, and Reverend Dr. David Inkri, November 24th to December 1st, 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. daily at Action Chapel International Prayer Cathedral, Dominion Arena. For inquiries or bars information, call 059-230-0069.
We're 32 days away from the 2024 general elections. Hashtag Stop Galamsey now still on. Good evening and welcome to News Night. Tonight, Sir Sam Jonah criticizes government's decision to purchase past questions for students, describing it as a very first low.
Let me just say that all of us have to be troubled by the recent government decision to institutionalize the purchasing of past examination questions, papers, for distribution to students. This must be a very first law.
We have details as the UCC Chancellor expresses worry about the chew and poor graduates being churned out at the expense of critical thinking and innovation, making them unattractive in the job market.
We are training our future leaders to repeat or rehash their past, to rely on shortcuts, and to fear failure rather than embrace learning.
Meanwhile, the Education Minister has announced plans to make secondary education compulsory through free senior high school bill to drive high enrollment rates.
92% of students in Upper East moved on from junior high school to high school. Upper West, 89%. That is the lowest in the north. But the lowest in the north is higher than the rate of any of the regions in the south.
And tonight, Attorney General moves to amend relevant laws to make Ghana the seat of arbitration in all contractual disputes involving the state, as he cites the vulnerability of arbitration to fraud and abuse.
I recently presented to Cabinet a proposed amendment to the State Property and Contract Act of 1960 to compel all contracts involving the state and its agencies as parties to not only stipulate Ghana law as a governing law, but also to have Ghana as a seat of arbitration.
We have details plus his revelation that several arbitration disputes involving Ghana could have totally collapsed the country's economy.
And in business, energy and automobile sectors drive dollar demand as Bank of Ghana steps up support to help deal with the recent pressure on the local currency.
And in sports, Bet Power announces plans to invest 7 million Ghana cedis into the Ghana Premier League and Women's FA Cup for 5 years.
He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table.
Kamala Harris is a radical left Marxist, rated even worse than crazy Bernie Sanders or Pocahontas.
And later in the bulletin, we are live in America as Big Brother decides on whether the Democrats will maintain power with Vice President Kamala Harris at the helm of affairs, or it's time for Republicans to take over, giving former President Donald Trump another chance. You want to stay with us for that all here on News Night. Plus your views and comments, 055-11-11997. And Emefa, we start tonight with the very latest from the world of education.
And of course, we've been hearing from Sir Sam Jonah, is the Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast. Sam Jonah has criticized government's decision to purchase past questions for students, describing the act as a very low first. Sam Jonah adds that the act signifies the country's reluctance to embrace the future and our continuous reliance on the past.
Well, the business mogul says the decision to bypass questions for students conforms to our education system's memorization culture, as also known as chew and pour. Mr. Jonah indicated that these practices have lowered the standard of the country's education and taught students to cut corners.
Let me just say that all of us have to be troubled by the recent government decision to institutionalize the purchasing of past examination questions, papers, for distribution to students. This must be a very first law. Regrettably, this decision is in itself formalizes a reliance on rote learning and memorization at the expense of content comprehension and innovative thinking. We are training our future leaders to repeat or rehash their past, to rely on shortcuts, and to fear failure rather than embrace learning. We are training them to cut corners, to replicate and recite instead of understanding, innovating, and producing. We are lowering the standards of our children's education. Ladies and gentlemen, at the entrance of a university in South Africa, the following message was clearly posted for contemplation, and I quote, "Destroying any nation does not require the use of atomic bombs or the use of long-range missiles. It only requires lowering the quality of education and allowing cheating in the examinations by the students."
And we know the government spent a total of 68.5 million CDs to procure over 1 million past questions and answers for senior high school students as part of the interventions to help them prepare for the 2020 and 2021 West African Senior School Certificate examinations. And the minister himself had revealed this to Parliament after questions were asked of him. And that's the criticism we're hearing tonight from Sir Sam Jonah on that particular subject, but he's also been talking about the National Service Scheme.
Well, for him, it's time for us to have a compulsory military national service to build character in the Ghanaian youth.
Concept of national service is commendable, but it must be looked at critically to ensure the building of character in all our youth. In this regard, I strongly advocate that we model our national service on similar ones in Finland, South Korea, Israel, and other nations where graduates and persons aged over 18 serve compulsorily in the military for 1 year. Objective observers commend this as a strategy for building discipline, confidence, and resilience in the service personnel. It is a commitment to country because it builds character and the good sense to look out for one another. It instills accountability. Such a national service nurtures leaders, and my God, we need leaders in our young men and women now more than ever. Leaders, not followers, who would ensure the right thing is done where and when it must be done.
Well, there's also been talk about artificial intelligence. We're hearing from the former rector of GamePar, Professor Stephen Adai, who has called for the inclusion of artificial intelligence as a learning material for students. We can bring in our Kwesi Kwarting, is the spokesperson for the Education Ministry, joins us on the line right now. Thank you, sir, for your time here on News Night. Sir Sam Jonah says that the decision by the government to spend 68.5 million to buy past questions for the WASI exams for 2020-2021, he believes is a significant first low because of the foundation's delays for these students to cut corners. What's your reaction to that?
Well, thank you very much, and it was good evening to you and your cherished listeners. For us in the Ministry of Education, we take this as, of course, a call to reposition Ghana's education to be able to align with what pertains within the 21st century. And holistically, that is where we want to premise the call. But I do not necessarily believe that there is any correlation between, for instance, students using past questions as a guide for studies and, for instance, learning outcomes or quality of education. These are two separate, independent conversations that we can have and still attain or achieve the results that we want. Because as I speak, and Evans, you are in the media, the conversation and the message that we have been pushing and driving has always been reposition Ghana's education to be able to fit into what pertains within the 21st century. Today, we have been talking about STEM. We are talking about building STEM academies. We are talking about operationalizing STEM schools at the senior high schools. We are talking about creating career pathways. So for us in the Ministry of Education, holistically, these are even initiatives that we've already undertaken to be able to reposition Ghana's education.
And as we talk about the 21st century, STEM, etc., in the 21st century, government should not be spending money buying past questions for students.
I'm not sure the challenge or the difficulty has to do with the fact that government paid for that past questions, or the problem has to do with the fact that students, whether or not they need past questions. I need to get the distinction, because whichever way, even international exams, looking at IELTS, looking at TOEFL, I mean, you may get your producers to do extensive research there. They have question banks which guides them in terms of revision purposes, in terms of referral purposes, to be able to guide them and situate whatever they are learning within the context of the syllabus. So it just serves as a guide for practical purposes. And if you care to know, you are aware of the recent initiative of the one student, one tablet, which of course all forms part of the holistic agenda to be able to transform Ghana's education to fit into what it is in the 21st century. We are no longer doing printed past questions. Essentially, even if we are going to have past questions, what it will mean is that there will be question banks that will be uploaded on the tablet. So
as a policy, that has been phased out now. Government is moving away from this policy of investing in past questions. Is that what you're communicating now?
If I heard you right, you mentioned WASI 2020 and 2021. If I heard you right.
True.
It means that 2022 government did not spend money to buy past questions. 2023 same as such. So I'm not allowed at the moment to speak on policy decisions, because obviously it's beyond my pay scale. But there wouldn't be any need for you to print past questions if at the end of the day you've introduced one student, one tablet where you can upload these past questions or on. Again, even if you want to situate the conversation into an arena, reposition Ghana's education, you can talk of course, even beyond the STEM schools and the career pathways. We are talking about doing pre-engineering programs, even at the senior high schools. We are looking at engineering programs at the senior high schools. We are looking at biomedical sciences at the STEM schools. These are all part of the career pathway that we've created, even up to the lower level where we have junior high school model STEM schools, which have been operationalized, and even the STEM academies, which is starting from the basic level up to the senior high school level.
And the bigger concern today, though, was the fact that our educational structure as it is still training our students who focus more on memorizing than understanding and comprehending the content, but also able to articulate the subject based on their own understanding of the complex matters involved in then thinking through the problem. How is the Education Ministry fixing this?
Yeah, I think it's even an admission that even the Minister for Education has even made it on on bigger platforms. If you recall, during his meeting at the UNESCO, at the UN, he's made it very clear that we cannot memorize our way out of poverty. And of course, he also re-emphasized that you cannot be even training students in 19th century building and expect a 21st century outcome. So we admit that yes, as a country, in terms of our educational landscape, we had a systemic challenge.
And what is the minister doing about it now?
I was coming there, so if you had allowed me to land. I mean, it is the more reason why, even at the basic level, in terms of curriculum reforms, we've introduced the standard-based curriculum, which focuses on more problem-solving, critical thinking, and at the end of the day, having relevance on socioeconomic transformation. Of course, you move beyond that, even at the high school level, the junior high school level. We've also introduced what we call the common core curriculum. Recently, I watched an interview where your station interviewed the boss of NACA, where he also spoke about even plans to implement the senior high school standard curriculum, which of course looks more into science, technology, engineering, and math. Today we are having a conversation about building creative arts school, STEM schools. We have STEM innovation running. So for me, I mean, these are discussions where even the ministry have even taken initiative beyond where the concern that has been raised. Of course, these concerns holistically are good calls, but I mean, for us in the ministry, we even envisaged it earlier and admitted same even within the public domain and also on international platforms. And we have even taken practical steps to reposition Ghana's education. Because look, I agree. During the first industrial revolution up to the third industrial revolution, we were just at the consuming end. But today, we are talking about robotics, we are talking about Internet of Things, we are talking about artificial intelligence, which are not just conversations, but they are practical things happening in our school. Are you not aware that this school, I think Efia Kobi recently did a drone that could fly. We have STEM innovation recently, students from Obuasi Tech designing problem-solving materials and tools. For instance, I think they did the dialysis machine. So we move beyond, some of these concerns. Yes, they are legitimate, they are valid. But if you look at the initiatives and the interventions and the drive and the pathway that the Ministry of Education has taken, it's something that we've even moved beyond there. So
Okay, Christy Kwasi, thank you very much. And he is the spokesperson for the Education Ministry.
And we'll stay a while longer on the education front because we've been hearing from the Education Minister himself, Dr. Yawase Aduchum. He's also announced plans to make senior high school, that's SHS education, compulsory, another free SHS bill introduced in Parliament. If passed, the bill will require all eligible students to complete SHS, marking a significant step toward universal access to secondary education. He's been speaking at the National Tertiary Education Conference held at the University of Ghana.
Look at junior high school transition rate in Ghana today. Last year, 95% of students in the northern region move on to junior high school to high school. 94% of students in the northeast and savannah moved on from junior high school to high school. 92% of students in upper east moved on from junior high school to high school. Upper west, 89%. That is the lowest in the north. But the lowest in the north is higher than the rate of any of the regions in the south. There's a growing trend here where there's a widening gap between the north and the south in terms of participation in secondary education. The north, all the regions together, are ahead of the whole country. So if you heard about the bill in Parliament about the free secondary education bill, the goal is to ensure that we create a free, compulsory, universal secondary education regime in Ghana. It's a very important aspect of the bill. That it will not be something that children who are not 18 have a choice in. Say that I'm not going to secondary school and I'm going to stay at home.
Well, Dr. Oseaduchum adds that the government is determined to hit 40% gross tertiary enrollment by 2030 to improve socio-economic development.
I think when it comes to research, you know, and the research is clear that higher education is critical for national development and transformation. It is known, for example, that a 10% increase in gross tertiary enrollment ratio leads to 2 to 4% GDP growth and 5.3% increase in labor productivity. So when you increase gross tertiary enrollment ratio, you lay foundation for socio-economic transformation of your nation. Therefore, our government is determined by 2030 we will have a gross tertiary enrollment ratio of 40%. If we're able to attain this, and if we're able to provide quality tertiary education and relevant tertiary education, we'll be moving ourselves into the higher income brackets of nations around the world.
That's the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum. Now, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey Aboadame, is tonight moving to have arbitration in all contractual disputes involving the state dealt with here in Ghana. Currently, disputes between the state and companies that are being arbitrated are handled outside of Ghana, especially in Western countries. While citing the vulnerability of arbitration to fraud and abuse, Godfrey Aboadame says efforts are underway to amend the Contract Act to make Ghana the seat of all arbitration involving the state. He's been speaking at the first ever Public Sector Lawyers Conference in Accra.
We must reform the laws governing arbitration and the institution of civil claims against the state, whilst taking a critical look at contracting and contract management on behalf of the state. Mr. President, as I recently noted at the African Regional Forum at the International Bar Association Conference held in Mexico City, Mexico, we cannot discount the prejudice Ghana and the whole of Africa in general often suffers international arbitration fora. It is quite curious that in some instances, companies which fail to make out any claim in our domestic courts succeed in extremely huge international arbitration actions, sometimes mounted on the back of contracts which have failed to receive the relevant statutory and constitutional approvals of the countries in which they operate. This phenomenon is not because of a weakness of judicial systems of African countries, or indeed Ghana's, but simply because of the nature of international arbitration, particularly the secrecy of proceedings, flexibility of rules, and the finality or non-appealability of awards, which I've just referred to. It should not be misconstrued as saying that Ghana or any African nation should shy away from international arbitration. Far from that. However, the vulnerability of arbitration to abuse and fraud highlights the necessity for more robust safeguards in commercial disputes involving state parties, where the hard purse of the nation is at stake. We must boost the integrity of our legal systems by setting up fair and efficient mechanisms for commercial dispute adjudication and strengthening the systems for the conduct of arbitration in our respective countries. But I still recognize that there's a need to make further reform to the pursuit of arbitration against the state. Thus, I recently presented to Cabinet a proposed amendment to the State Property and Contract Act of 1960 to compel all contracts involving the state and its agencies as parties to not only stipulate Ghana law as a governing law, but also to have Ghana as a seat of arbitration, and with the ADR Center in Ghana being the venue for the arbitration.
Well, the Attorney General says Ghana's economy would have collapsed if some arbitration challenges against the state succeeded. According to him, the state would have paid in excess of $9 billion in international arbitral awards, with about 16 trillion cedis in local actions filed against the state.
Can bring the economy of a developing country as Ghana to its knees. In point of fact, over the past 4 years, the value of arbitral claims against the Republic has been in excess of $9 billion. And as such, a few to illustrate the point. The financial claim by ENI Vitor against Ghana, which was initially $7 billion and subsequently reduced to $15 million after challenging the cost of proceedings by Ghana. In fact, any of these amounts, $7 billion or $950 million, could have collapsed the Ghanaian economy. By the grace of God, this financial claim was recently dismissed in its entirety by the International Arbitral Tribunal. Cassius Bailey's Limited claim against the government of Ghana has a value of about $300 million. GCNet's arbitral claim involves a claim of over 4 billion Ghana cedis, the equivalent of about $250 million. The recently filed inland arbitration claim against the government of Ghana also involves a claim of over $320 million. These are just a sample of a few of the international arbitration claims against Ghana. Domestically, there have been claims in Ghana in excess of over 15 trillion Ghana cedis, successfully defended by the Office of Treasurer against the state. I know this conference will be a seminal step in improving the legal framework within the public sector and the interactions with public-private partnerships.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo says he's committed to ensuring lawyers in the public sector are well-resourced to deliver on their responsibilities.
My government's commitment to the legal sector extends to the development of infrastructure, as evidenced by the construction of 100 courthouses across the country and the development of 121 residential units nationwide for judges, alongside the construction of the magnificent 10-story law house in Accra, which will soon house the Office of the Attorney General. We're also undertaking the historic endeavor of calling some 4,500 lawyers to the bar since October 2021, doubling the legal workforce in our country. Looking ahead, I'm inspired by the Attorney General's vision for a law house in each region, creating dedicated spaces for public legal services across Ghana. This vision of a strong, united legal framework is the legacy we aim to build. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the bar, as public sector lawyers, the path we walk is one that demands courage, commitment, integrity, and a ceaseless pursuit of excellence. This conference is a testimony to the value we place on your contributions and the recognition that without a strong legal backbone, our public service cannot function at its highest potential. Government is committed to supporting your development, ensuring that our legal teams are well prepared to face the challenges of our time.
And that there is President Akufo-Addo. And if I want to take you to the Wutusenya East district, where we know cholera has been on the rampage there. 5 people, died. 100 suspected cases were recorded in that particular municipality and has spread across the entire area there. But we're hearing some good news tonight because the Wutusenya East Health Directorate is reporting to us tonight that the cholera cases there are beginning to decline. And the Municipal Health Director, Dr. Stanley Edu, indicates that the 26 cases have been discharged so far.
So far, the number of cases have declined. Just like I mentioned, even yesterday we discharged about 26 cases. And if you go and see the wards are being decongested because we are discharging a lot of cases and we are not having the cases rushing in the way they were rushing in before. This is because the sensitization in the communities is ongoing. We are meeting opinion leaders, we are in churches, we are in mosques, and we are spreading the news of prevention, cholera prevention. And so I think that the people of the Wutusenya East and surrounding districts have really received the message, and that is what is leading to the decline in the rate of infection. Common cause is contamination of our food or water with the bacteria that causes cholera. We call it vibrio cholera, or contact with someone who has had or has been exposed to the organism.
We also learned that part of the problem, Emefa, is the cut in the flow of clean potable water due to the Kaswa-Winneba road construction. We've also been hearing from the MC for the area.
Yes, that's Anita Lavobo Emisa. She explains measures put in place to contain the spread.
The Municipal Assembly, in collaboration with Health Directorate, it's been phenomenal in a sense that most of the PPEs that they need is being supplied. Education is still ongoing, and then disinfection. Even this morning, it is going on at the polyclinic itself. Now we are disinfecting all taxes that comes in with the patients as well. So there has been a lot of interventions. Sanitation issues, we are also on course. In fact, we realized that some of the areas that the patients were coming from was because of water. So the Assembly has started distributing water to such places. The protocols in terms of washing hands with soap and the running water, and then eating hot meals, these are the things that we are telling people about. And the treatment is free. So whoever feels a bit uneasy should come to the hospital, and then he or she will be taken care of.
And there are more suspected cases being reported in that general area in the central region. If you go to the Wutusenya West, we're in the east, 14 suspected cases there now being reported. If you go to the Gomwa East, there are now 26 cases there, and all the district assemblies there, including the MCEs, are working with the health director to try and get it under control. We keep a close eye on this. If you're in that particular part of town, you want to get in touch with us, 055-1111-997. And George Rafa is joining me with the latest from the world of business. And George just last week returned from the U.S.
Last week, no, last night.
Last night?
Oh,
you returned this week.
This week, yeah.
Yeah, this week, yes. And you would have been there today for the elections, but you're not. Just before today, it was pretty intense in terms of the campaigning. We've also seen some violence in some parts of the United States already. And why am I highlighting this? Of course, when Ghana is going to elections, we know that United States just last 2 weeks issuing that notice and policy directive that they are putting visa restrictions on those who undermine democracy. The question is,
are we
African
do the
countries,
same for them as
yes,
well?
that's a question that we legitimately must be asked, because there's a real potential for post-election violence in the U.S. because of how close this election is going to be.
And Evans, you're right on that about this election being very close, because every report you monitor, even the poll experts are saying this is going to be a close election. One, I hope I got the description right. Is it a county or a small state that did an early vote? The results were 3 at each for the candidates as well. So it gives us a picture about how close these elections will be, and that is why the stakes are quite high.
Have you noticed also that it is a battle between a vice president and a former president, just like we're having in Ghana
and
here as well?
How the campaign shifted from Joe Biden to now the vice president about she being a failure because she failed to act, and the response was
you
that
can bet that whatever the
she
outcome,
wasn't the president at that
we
time.
hear from the NPP saying, well, this is an indication of what may happen locally. Depending on the outcome, we may hear from the NDC too saying, so assuming that
Donald Trump is a
wins,
former president, right?
It means that they will say
or
the
he's
former
been there,
president,
former president John Mahama.
If Kamala wins,
so,
the vice president is staying.
So very interesting, very interesting. And the thing is that you want to join us at 12 midnight, because we're going to bring you special coverage, bringing the Ghanaian perspective to the elections there. We're going to be joined by more than a dozen Ghanaians living in the U.S. and U.S. citizens themselves. Some of them are in queues voting. Will join us for some analysis.
Also did the early vote as well, like
yes, exactly.
Ghanaians,
and many of them have been speaking today as part of the preparation for the show tonight. Voted Trump.
I was shocked when I heard you talking to
voted Trump. And their reasons are fascinating, many of them. And I want to hear that tonight when we speak to them. We'll also be joined by Sekun Nkrumah. You know, he's stayed in the U.S. He just returned recently. And he'll bring us some perspective to this. Of course, Dr. Chisekanku will also join us. And some great analysis, tracking what this will mean for you. Depending on who wins tonight, our economy will be affected one way or the other, depending on who wins. We're going to illustrate all that for you when you join us from 12. Stay with us here on your election headquarters. Joy.
Well, events coming up, energy and automobile sectors drive dollar demand as Bank of Ghana steps up support to help deal with the recent pressure on the local currency. And Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, Director of City Company of Ghana, and other sector players to strictly comply with the cash waterfall mechanism, insisting there's no room for non-compliance. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Sinterstanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal.
Man, I heard there's a new app on the streets that does it all for you.
Really? How is that possible?
Charlie, I also could not believe it too. But I downloaded the app and I'm telling you, I was able to chat with my friends, make video calls and...
Well, we know of many apps that can do that.
Oh, let me finish, la. I was also able to listen to the latest songs, play games and read the latest sports news.
For real?
Yeah, and I can send and receive money from the app. Amazing, no?
What's the name of this app?
It's called Ayoba.
Ayoba?
Yeah, Ayoba.
Get Ayoba, your all-in-one app that lets you chat, call, share, play, pay, and listen to music all in one app for everyone. Enjoy Ayoba with MTN and download the Ayoba app today. Everywhere you go.
Attention CEOs, join Ghana's top 1,000 CEOs, policymakers, political leaders, and ambassadors for the first Ghana CEO Presidential Manifesto Gala Dinner 2024 on November 7, 2024 at the Mervyn Pig Hotel, Accra from 6 to 10:30 p.m. This historic event will focus on reigniting the business economy and social contract for growth, a business manifesto for political accountability and sustainable development. Special guests of honor include His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, Vice President of Ghana, and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, former President of Ghana. Attendance is by invitation and requires pre-registration. Register at ceogaladina.ceonetworkgh.com. For inquiries, contact 0546391970 or email ceogaladina@gmail.com. This event is powered by Chief Executives Network Ghana in partnership with Deloitte, PwC, University of Ghana, SIGA, GIPC, UPSA Law, and the Multimedia Group. The first Ghana CEO Presidential Manifesto Gala Dinner 2024, connecting political ambitions with business realities.
Businesses know how important it is to create a productive and supportive working environment by investing in employees' health. With a leading international track record, Apex Health Insurance is licensed to provide medical insurance services to corporate organizations and SMEs. We also have international LH Blue cover and TPAs to cushion you. Multinational companies, factories, and government agencies, focus on your business while Apex Insurance takes care of your health. Visit Apex Health Insurance office at Zion House, Boundary Road, Shiashi, Kumasi, opposite Prempeh College, Sofo Line, and Takrady Market Circle. For further inquiries, call 0501-562-962 or 0501-552-495. Apex Health, your preferred health insurer.
From the classroom to the lab, from the village to the city, the NPP's commitment to education is building a brighter Ghana. Free SHS isn't just about free tuition, it's an investment in Ghana's future. We have topped it up with free TVET and STEM education, skilled graduates, innovative thinkers, and a thriving economy. That's the promise of free SHS.
3 of my cousins have benefited from free SHS since 2017. One has graduated and is in nursing training. The other 2 are also in the university. I'll vote number 1. I'll vote for Bawumia on December 7.
We are building a better tomorrow through education. Vote NPP. Vote number 1. Vote Bawumia. Bawumia means business. Esro.
Imagine having access to top-notch educational resources, no matter your grade of school or location in Ghana. With the Ghana Knowledge and Skills Bank, you can tap into a vast library of resources, even in offline mode. From primary all the way to tertiary education, we've got you covered. As a student, you have access to past questions from 1990 to date for BEC, WASI, and tertiary test examinations. As a teacher or lecturer, you can hold virtual classes for your students and share your lecture notes for their use. As an educator or researcher, you can publish your books or articles for public consumption. And lastly, you have your own studies teacher or AI tutor who is trained to teach you in any subject topic till you fully understand. So whether you're a student, educator, content creator, researcher, or entrepreneur, the Ghana Knowledge and Skills Bank was made just for you. Sign up today at www.gksb.gov.gh. The Ghana Knowledge and Skills Bank, where learning has no limits and the possibilities are endless. This project was financed by the World Bank under the erstwhile e-Transform project at the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization.
The luckiest. *712#. Luck is everywhere, for everyone, yeah.
Here's to the friends who dialed *712# and found no regrets. To the investors who struck gold. To the health workers who diagnosed luck with precision. To the tough guy who couldn't hold back his tears. To the passionate fan who couldn't contain his joy. To the seamstress who turned her hard-earned stitches into a bundle of happiness. And now, here's to you. Your next big win is right here.
Luck is everywhere, for everyone.
Dial *712#. Now join in the luckiest winning celebration. Every 1st July 2024. Over dial *712#. Now I to take it through as a group, individual, and now even as a community. Now win Nistika Kessie. Prizes are Kessie in the community draw or go for the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with *712#. Now join in the winning streak now.
The luckiest
*712#.
Luck is everywhere, for everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, demand from firms in the energy and multiple sectors are currently driving dollar demand for this week. Now, that's according to market report from some of the commercial banks. Details in this report.
The report showed that the demand is coming from firms that are important to support the operations as well as fuel for power generation, whilst in the automobile space, dealers are bringing in parts for their business as well as those that are trying to get new models for their customers. Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana has also been increasing the amount of dollars that it supplies to the market as well as clear the backlog of demand. The central bank, through its 7-day auction on Monday, sold about $50 million to the market. However, only $41 million was taken up by the commercial banks. These dollars were sold at a rate between 16 cedis, 30 pesos, and 16 cedis, 37 pesos. Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Nes Addison, recently assured businesses that there is no need for them to panic in terms of current pressure on the cedi. The governor maintained that it has the required support to stabilize the local currency.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, commercial banks have revealed that the review in the cash reserve ratio is hurting their operations badly. The Bank of Ghana earlier this year increased the amount of reserves that banks can hold at the central bank for every cedi or foreign currency that they are holding. Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Ewa, noted that it is also affecting their ability to lend to some critical sectors.
We have
And sorry for our challenge to bring you that sound. And Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has directed the Electricity Company of Ghana and other players in the sector to strictly comply with the cash flow mechanism. The program seeks to ensure equitable distribution of monthly collections of Electricity Company of Ghana's revenue for all sector players. Speaking in an engagement in Washington, D.C., USA, the Finance Minister noted that there is no room for compromising on this directive.
We won't compromise any action that would drill the operationalization of the cash waterfall mechanism. So I insist all collections made by ECG must go to the cash waterfall system to be redistributed to all stakeholders in the value chain. This is very important for us because people have lost confidence in our ability to manage the energy sector because of the financial issues. So let's use this opportunity to rebuild that confidence, not just in our partners, but also the investor community. We are not going to get that investment into this sector if we just cannot guarantee that we will pay for those resources that will be invested in this sector. And the only way is to show that we have a systematic, comprehensive approach to addressing the financial issues. And that is why the cash waterfall mechanism is so central to the future of the energy sector.
Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam. Let's get to our earlier story where the Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks is explaining how the increase in the cash reserve requirements is hurting the operation. Let's hear from John Ewa, who's Chief Executive of the Association of Banks.
We have not sat aloof and said, oh, that is, we raised our hands and therefore the impact is gone. I've just said that banks have been affected negatively, significantly. You understand? Significantly negative.
Ability to lend has been a critical factor.
It is still a significant negative factor within the industry where the cash reserve requirement is. I can tell you that for sure.
Some banks are now seeing whether they should even do away with all the FX and all the rest. That has implications in terms of interest income and all those things.
Of course, banks have various ways of responding to regulatory measures. Those are avenues that we don't touch because we do not tell banks how to run their banks. What we do is when issues that are of industry significance come around, we coalesce and then we speak to the stakeholder. Our major stakeholder is the Bank of Ghana. And that's
John Ewa, Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks. Now, pension funds manager Petra has unveiled a new mobile application to support moves to boost financial literacy among the youth. The application is expected to provide convenience way of investing and checking performance of the funds of the various schemes provided by the firm. Let's hear from Kofi Finn. He's the managing director of the company.
As a business, as Petra, our mission is to partner people to achieve their dream. And at this point in time, this app, we believe, is the primary way we can do that. We've got financial planners, we've got financial advisors, we engage with companies to discuss the financial well-being of their employees. But this app becomes the primary way in which we deal with individuals directly. And at the end, everybody has a dream. We've started by trying to solve the dream of retirement. And a key part of all of this is that very quickly, once we started dealing with the retirement dreams of people, we realize that that dream is far away. There are other dreams that are much more near term. They need to get married, they're going to have to want a house to live in, they'll further their education, buy a car, and all of those things require financing. In fact, there are very few things that you can do without money. Our goal is to make sure that you do it in a way that is planned and that is responsible. So you can achieve every single one of those things without putting yourself at undue risk or making you uncomfortable. And in this app, you can do that.
Kofi Finn is managing director of pensions fund management firm Petra, and that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans.
And we can do sports now. Let me say, Kranti.
Let's go straight into the stories. And BetPower, an online gaming company, has announced plans to invest a minimum 7 million Ghana cedis into elite men's and women's football competitions in Ghana. In 2D Muyelo, the managing director of Mcheko Limited, the operators of Betway, disclosed this as a press conference earlier today. The amount will be invested through the locker room bonus, a support package originally instituted to reward players in the Ghana Premier League and now extended to cover the Women's FA Cup.
We have reached a partnership to extend what we have done with GFA by again supporting the Premier League with this initiative called the Locker Room Bonus, actually extending the same to women. With the Women FA Cup, we will be giving to all women in the squad list of the winning team 400 cedis, which is the same amount that we will be giving as well to the men that will be winning a game in the Premier League during the 2024-2025 season.
Di Muyelo, the managing director of Mcheko Limited, operators of BetPower. And there will be UEFA Champions League action later tonight. Match day 4 action. Real Madrid will take on AC Milan. That is our featured game on Hits 103.9 FM. That's all for sports. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much. This is your election headquarters.
Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants (CIMA) and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants (AICPA), together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental, Wellness and Beauty, Shopbox Technologies, a convenient service, Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development, and Syntex Tanks. A year strong, a year tough.
Republican presidential nomination. Kamala Harris has now earned enough delegate votes to become the Democratic nominee.
This is a brand new presidential race.
As the U.S. goes to the polls to elect their next leader, who is winning, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table.
Kamala Harris is a radical left Marxist, rated even worse than crazy Bernie Sanders or Pocahontas.
Your election headquarters, Joy News, brings you a special coverage of the U.S. elections on Wednesday, the 6th of November from 12 a.m. to 9 a.m. on TV, radio, Joy 99.7 FM, and online at myjoyonline.com. America decides on Joy News. In-depth coverage of America's big day.
And indeed, it starts at 12 a.m., but we are starting now here on radio because Americans have been voting. It's decision day in America. The choice is a stark one. Either you are voting for Trump or you are voting for Kamala. And both, we know, stand for two very distinct, different things. Emefa Apawu is here with me as we look forward and look ahead to the outcomes. But also joining us tonight from the USA is Associate Professor of Digital Media Studies at the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore in the state of Maryland. Dr. Michael Sowonu, thank you very much for connecting with us here on Newsnight.
Thank you, Evans, for having me.
Great that you could join us. And give me a sense of how today had played out from morning.
The U.S. election is a little different from what we have in Ghana. So in Ghana, voting is reserved for voting day. Even early voting that is given to journalists sometimes is not given all the time by the Electoral Commission. In the U.S., they have different parts. They have absentee voting. They have a mail ballot. So on the election day, it's a little calmer, except places like I live in the Eastern Shore, where University of Maryland Eastern Shore is. It's a very calm place. This area doesn't have a lot of people, so you will not have the things you're hearing about LA, the bomb scares and the rest. But generally, the elections are calmer. Haven't covered elections in Ghana for more than 3 times. I think this is much, much calmer. People walk, they stand in lines and go and vote, and they are willing to tell you who they voted for without any anger. So it's been really calm. A few of my students have gone and voted and come back. Some are still in line and trying to skip classes for that. So, yeah, that's the general feeling.
80+ million people have already cast their ballot, and that's the point you're making there. But as we build up into the results and polling closing, first, as we know, this will happen around the East Coast. We know that there are some battleground states that there's a lot of heat, a lot of focus on. Rust Belt comes to mind, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Everybody else is fighting over that. Give us a sense of what's at play here and the path to 270 for both Donald and Harris.
Yes, you see the electoral college system here in the United States makes elections a little interesting for a Ghanaian like me, because I haven't been here for a very long time. But you win a state, you get a point that moves you forward. And over time, the blue and the red blocks are clear. They know what they're going in for. They have states that they're entrenched, they know they're winning. The swing states like Pennsylvania, where everything is, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is going to be where we will have to see much of the action today. So they are going to count fast. They have promised to count faster than before, and they will have the say generally on Michigan. But don't forget, Sir John, the former General Secretary of NPP, once said that voters are like, they are more dangerous than ghosts.
Fear delegates.
We are fear delegates, and so you could have a blue state falling for a red state, and you could have a red state falling. Usually, these analyses we do not put that into contest. The fact that a blue state can fall,
just like
red,
saw John
and a red state can fall.
Last elections that has voted for a decade.
And that is why we overly look at the swing states and what they bring to the table.
Let me ask you very, very quickly, for many of us Ghanaians, why should we care about the U.S. elections?
We should care because much of our trading partners and immigration between Ghana and the United States is big. For instance, I'm one of them. I have family, my children and wife is in America, and I have worked all my life in Ghana. I chose one day to get a job in the U.S. directly, and I was hired directly from the U.S. If the U.S. economy is good everyone else is good because they are the only country that's quite open to immigration in the way they do it. There are other countries that are running out of human beings, like Japan, and they're never opening up for the pathways to integration that America has. And I think that apart from that, America has given us projects that we need to look up for. Like we have been on the Agua, we have other projects currently going on with the US government, and you want to see what is up for that. Are we going to get that? Don't forget that Donald Trump wanted to repatriate some Ghanaians, and when the nation was not prepared to receive them, his government put some blocks in the way of immigration for Ghanaians and government workers. So there is a lot at stake for everyone. For me, the most important thing is the dollar. So we're struggling with the dollar. If the parity rate under Trump, it makes dollar more difficult to get for any other nation like it did in his first term, that will mean a lot of hassle for us as we are nearing $17 cedis for a dollar. So any plan that is not thinking about our welfare can really hurt us. So we should really care.
Doc, thank you very much. And Doc will join us at 12 midnight as we join many Americans across the United States covering this. One of the key individuals we have on the ground for us, reporting on this for us, is my colleague KMJ, and joins us on the line right now. He hosts the Prime Morning on Joy Prime. And KMJ, you've been to some of the polling stations. Tell us the experience.
All right, Evans, good evening to everyone doing the listening right now. So, yes, it heated up like we anticipated. A lot of the people who earlier voted have shared the excitement about having the opportunity to vote. Others are also doing the same today as the general elections, it's underway. I have been to 2 places, and I've been to Corinne, which is here in Ohio. I've also been to Fairfield, is the fire department area where I have been as well. And as at the time I got there this morning, it was very calm. People are coming in and out. The officer over there I spoke to indicated that it always begins, slowly in the morning and in the afternoon, but later, but in the evening, around 3 p.m., it gets a big packed amp. And so, yes, the people are excited about it. One thing that I also noticed was the fact that some of the voters actually came in with their families. Some came with their partners. Some came in with, their children and all of that, even though the children who are not up to over 18 years cannot vote, but they were there to support them in their cars and all that. I saw one person who came in a black T-shirt, a lady who came in a black T-shirt that has Kamala written in front of it. I don't know if that is allowed in our voting, exercise in Ghana, but she boldly walked into the voting area with that T-shirt that had Kamala written, in the front of it. And one thing I also noticed was that as at the time that I got there, there was no police officer. I mean, it was just the voters, the election personnel who were in charge, and no police officer until a little over an hour that I saw a police car come packed over there in the first place that I went, Corinne. At Fairfield, was also very calm. People at Fairfield were a bit higher than what I saw in Corinne in terms of the number of people that were coming in to vote. So far, so good. Yes, it's been calm. It's been good experience. It's going to be ending around 7:30, as I was told by the officer that I spoke to. And when they are done, they are going to make sure that all the scanned vote will be sent technology-wise to the quarters where it's supposed to, and then they gather all the other papers and then send them also as well. So yeah, so far so good.
Thank you very much. We're counting to post closing and getting you the first few results coming in. We believe just around 1 or 2 a.m. we should be getting a sense of some of the first results coming in, and we'll be bringing you the very latest with analysis, of course. Emefa Apawu, you should definitely be looking forward to something. Do you have a horse in the race?
Not at all.
You must have a preference.
But I'm just hoping that a woman will see a first female president of the U.S. But really, I'm seeing a Trump victory. But Let's see how it goes.
You know, I have a view on that too, but I'll disclose it at 12 a.m.
We'll see.
I'll disclose it at 12 a.m. And by the way, I was just listening to this Prof. Lynchman, who has been predicting U.S. elections. He's predicted it correctly. For the last 10 elections, he's predicted 9 correctly. 9 correctly. Exactly. And he says Kamala will win. And so here you go.
I'll be very excited if we see a first female, though.
Okay. Well, let's say you want to join us. Very exciting indeed. And it has implications. You know why many people in the black community, they like Trump? Because he is opposed to LGBTQ1. Okay. It sort of reflects our values here. You know, and also the subject around abortions has become an issue. You know, if you're a Christian, he's a Catholic. So very interesting times indeed, and we'll look forward to the outcome. And guess who's joining us? Adobia is here. Adobia, do you have a horse in the U.S. race?
Not really.
Not really. Okay, you don't care who wins.
I mean, it plays a role, but it's not.
It
really
will affect your pocket somehow.
Sometimes.
Yes, okay. Well, what are you talking about tonight?
Now, let me just find out from you the things you see on social media. Does it in any way inform the decisions you make when it comes to elections?
Oh, that's interesting.
No.
I think I'm a wrong person to ask because I don't want to disclose the fact that I don't remember the last time I voted. But if I'm voting, maybe if it is verified, maybe.
Okay, we want to talk about that. How social media can influence people's decisions when it comes to elections.
But I think the research shows that people actually vote based on what they see. And that's why states invest quite heavily in manipulating the outcome of the elections, because they can control what you see and then how influences you.
That's true.
Yeah.
I love your glasses, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay. You want to get onto our Facebook right now and watch Adobia's glasses. And she's here with the lads with... Geek Squad. I mean, exactly. The spectacles confused me. Yeah, but yeah, just check it out. Maybe you'll get the point.